Have you ever wondered why the smallest things can irritate you so much? A glance, a careless remark, an unintentional action, each one like a tiny needle pricking your mind, leaving you annoyed, frustrated, or even dwelling on it for an entire day. But here's a truth few realize. The problem isn't what happens to you, it's how you respond. If a stranger insults you, you might stew in anger for hours. But if the same words came from a 3-year-old, you'd probably just laugh. The difference isn't in the words, it's in how you interpret them. So, how do you reach a point where nothing can disturb your peace? The answer lies in a philosophy that has stood the test of time, Stoicism. It doesn't teach you to suppress your emotions or become indifferent. Instead, it helps you master your mind so that nothing can affect you unless you allow it. In this video, you'll learn 10 ways to turn calmness into your greatest weapon so that no one can shake you and no situation can pull you down. Get ready, because after today, the world may remain the same, but you won't. Number 1. Dichotomy of control. Have you ever felt like the whole world is conspiring against you? You're waiting in line for coffee, but the person in front of you is taking forever to find their money. You're driving, only to get stuck behind someone crawling along in the fast lane. You spend a whole week working on a report, and your boss barely schemes it before tossing out a cold. Needs revision. Frustrating, of course, but ask yourself, are these things really bothering you, or are you letting them? The core principle of Stoicism, the dichotomy of control, says that the world consists of 2 kinds of things, those we can control and those we cannot. Try a small exercise. Close your eyes and think about everything that frustrated you this past week. How many of those things were actually within your control? You can't force other drivers to be more mindful, but you can control how you react. You can't make the person in front of you move faster, but you can take that moment to breathe instead of fuming. You can't dictate your boss's mood, but you can decide how you receive their feedback. There's a story about a Stoic. One day, a man came to him complaining that his neighbor was talking badly about him. The Stoic simply smiled and asked, "Were you forced to listen?" And that's the point. We get to choose how we take things in. If you find yourself easily dragged into anger and frustration, the problem isn't the world, it's you. Imagine your mind as an on-off switch. Everything out there, bad news, annoying people, unlucky days, can only affect you if you turn the switch on. But you can choose to leave it off. Here's a truth few people want to accept. Most of our suffering doesn't come from the world itself, but from how we interpret it. You drop your phone, that's just an event. But if you think, this is the worst day ever, I'm so clumsy, you've made it worse. You could think differently. Drop my phone. Let's see, the screen's still intact. I'll be more careful next time. If you want to practice the dichotomy of control, start small. When something irritates you, ask yourself, do I control this? If the answer is no, let it go. That doesn't mean you have to passively accept everything. It just means it's not worth your energy. A neighbor plays loud music? You can talk to them, but if they don't change, you can get noise-canceling headphones instead of stewing in frustration. Stuck in traffic? Inevitable, but you can put on your favorite podcast instead of cursing in your car. Someone criticizes you? You can't control their thoughts, but you can control how you handle their words. Want to be untouchable by life's annoyances? Stop letting trivial things take up space in your mind. Try this for just one day, only one day, and see how your life shifts. Number 2, amor fati. There are moments in life you never ask for. Losing a job, betrayal, illness, crushing failure. You can resist, rage against the unfairness of it all, or you can accept it as part of a greater design you can't yet see. This is amor fati, loving your fate, not in passive resignation, but in active embrace. Imagine a sudden storm ruining the picnic you had been looking forward to. Most people would curse the sky, complain about their bad luck. But a Stoic sees something else, a chance to feel the rain, to listen to its rhythm, to create a new plan they hadn't considered. Nothing is bad unless you decide it is. Marcus Aurelius once said, "A blazing fire makes flame and brightness out of everything that is thrown into it." A strong fire doesn't discriminate between fuel. Whether it's dry wood or debris, everything feeds its flames. You too can be that fire, transforming obstacles into energy. But this doesn't mean suppressing your emotions. When losing a loved one, grief is natural. Yet Amor Fati teaches that instead of resisting reality with bitterness, you can cherish the time you had and be grateful for the moments shared. Think of Job in the Bible, who lost everything and still said, "The Lord gave, and the Lord hath taken away. Blessed be the name of the Lord." Strength isn't about controlling fate, it's about controlling your response to it. Some might ask, how can I love a tragedy? But that question is flawed from the start. It's the way you define tragedy that makes it one. People suffer most when they resist the current of life, wishing it were different, instead of learning how to swim with it. Imagine yourself as a boxer. When your opponent throws a punch, you can take it stiffly and feel its full impact, or you can absorb the momentum, pivot, and turn it into an opportunity to strike back. Amor Fati doesn't mean accepting defeat. It means making every hit work in your favor. So how do you apply this in everyday life? The next time something bad happens, don't ask, "Why me?" Instead ask, "What is this teaching me?" If someone betrays you, you learn to choose your friends wisely. If you lose your job, you have a chance to redefine your path. If you fail, you gain experience. When hardship comes, tell yourself, "Good, let's see how I can use this." Accepting fate doesn't mean giving up control. It means achieving a higher level of freedom. Freedom from unrealistic expectations, freedom from unnecessary complaints. And this leads us to the next lesson, self-control. If Amor Fati teaches us to embrace reality, self-control teaches us how to act within it. Accepting fate with grace is one thing, but having the discipline to respond well to it is another. Are you ready for the next step? Number 3. Self-control. Have you ever found yourself irrationally angry over something trivial? Maybe it was a seen message with no reply, an annoyed glance from a colleague, or a stranger bumping into you without apologizing. That tiny moment ends up ruining your entire day, as if someone could control your emotions with a mere snap of their fingers. But think about it, why does someone so insignificant have that much power over your mind? If something so small can set you off, are you truly in control of yourself? That's the real issue. You think you're steering your life, but in reality, you're being pulled by everything around you. Self-control doesn't mean becoming an emotionless machine. It means not letting the outside world dictate how you feel. Imagine you're driving, and suddenly an impatient driver honks aggressively and swerves past you. If you react instinctively, you'll get angry, maybe even speed up to teach them a lesson. But then what? You're only punishing yourself. Your heart rate spikes, adrenaline floods your brain, and your entire day is ruined over a stranger you'll likely never see again. That person has already forgotten about you, yet you carry that frustration for hours. Does that make sense? So how do you practice self-control? First, create distance between emotion and reaction. When something irritates you, don't respond immediately. Imagine your mind as a phone. Every time someone provokes you, they're making a call. But do you have to pick it up? No. Let it ring, let the noise pass, and ask yourself, is this really worth my energy? Most of the time, the answer will be no. Second, turn adversity into training. Just as muscles grow stronger through resistance, self-discipline strengthens through challenges. The next time someone frustrates you, don't see it as an insult, see it as a workout. An unreasonable client becomes a chance to practice composure, a stubborn coworker a test of patience. From now on, when facing a stressful situation, ask yourself, if I stay calm, how strong will I become? The way you respond doesn't just shape that moment, it shapes who you are. Here's the paradox. Those with the highest self-control are the freest. Many think freedom means doing whatever they want, but if you can't master your emotions, you're just a puppet of the world around you. So the real question is, will you keep letting others decide how you feel, or will you take the wheel? Try it now. One moment of restraint, one choice to stay calm when anger feels justified. And if you've ever succeeded in mastering yourself, share your story. Who knows? Your experience might help someone else find the freedom they never thought possible. If you're ready to keep growing into a stronger version of yourself, stick around. We have a lot more to explore. Number 4. Master emotions. Epictetus once said, "If someone succeeds in provoking you, realize that your mind is complicit in the provocation." We don't get angry because of what others say. We get angry because of how we interpret it. If someone calls you a failure, it only stings if you yourself doubt your worth. If a random person on the street calls you Mr. President, would you feel proud? No, because you know it isn't true. So why feel hurt when someone calls you stupid? The Stoics were not emotionless statues. They simply understood a crucial principle. Your emotions belong to you. No one can force you to feel anything unless you allow it. But how do you actually reach a state of unshakable composure? One simple yet effective method is to create space between an event and your reaction. When someone insults you, don't respond immediately. Pause, take a breath, and ask yourself, does this really matter, or does this person truly know me? If the answer is no, then why let them control your emotions? Another strategy is to reframe your thinking. When someone says something negative, instead of thinking, "They are attacking me," try, "They are revealing themselves." A person who speaks with venom is rarely happy. They may be angry at life, wounded, or filled with resentment. When a wounded dog bites, it's not about you, it's about its pain. Similarly, when a suffering person lashes out, it's not about you, it's about them. But here's an important distinction. Controlling your emotions does not mean suppressing them. If someone insults you and you feel irritated, that doesn't mean you're weak, it means you're human. But instead of letting anger control you, use it. Let it be a signal, a chance to understand yourself better. Why did that comment affect me? What fear did it touch in me? Once you understand this, you begin to master yourself. Emotional restraint does not mean becoming numb. It means choosing what is worth investing your emotions in. If a close friend criticizes you, maybe you should listen. But if a stranger, a colleague, or some anonymous commenter on the internet insults you, is it worth losing sleep over? Would you let a passerby dictate your mood? Jesus, in his final moments on the cross, did not curse his executioners but said, "Father, forgive them, for they do not know what they are doing." That is the ultimate form of composure. If he could hold on to that mindset in the most excruciating moment, are the trivial offenses of daily life really worth your anger? You can't control what others say, but you can control how you respond. And when you truly grasp that, you become untouchable. No one can stir you up. No one can drag you into negativity. You become the master of yourself, a fortress standing firm in the storm of life. But there's something even more important. Your time is limited. Do you really want to waste it on fleeting anger and meaningless insults, or will you use it to live a life that matters? That's why the next lesson is one to remember, memento mori. Remember that you will die, and when that moment comes, you won't care about petty words, you'll only regret not having lived more freely. Number 5. Memento mori. There is one certainty in life: no matter who you are, rich or poor, strong or weak, you will die. No one escapes it. But instead of fearing this truth, why not turn it into power? This is the essence of memento mori. Remember that you will die. A phrase that might seem grim at first, but in reality, it is the ultimate weapon against the distractions and anxieties of life. Think about the times you've been angry because someone insulted you or frustrated by criticism. But if, in that very moment, you reminded yourself that both you and that person will eventually be gone, would that anger still be worth holding on to? When faced with the fleeting nature of life, insults lose their weight, and social pressures become meaningless. This doesn't lead to indifference or apathy, it does the opposite. It helps you live with clarity, focusing only on what truly matters. The ancient Romans had a unique custom. When a victorious general returned to the city, greeted by deafening cheers, a slave would stand beside him and whisper into his ear, "Respice post. Memento mori. Look behind you. Remember that you are only a man. Remember that you will die." A simple reminder, yet powerful enough to keep him grounded, preventing him from drowning in the illusion of glory. The same applies to us. Whether we succeed or fail, we all return to dust. So why fear the judgment of others? Why worry about things that will soon be gone? But how do you truly live by memento mori instead of just understanding it? First, train yourself to view every event in life through the lens of death. When someone angers you, ask, if I were to die tomorrow, would this still matter? When you hesitate before making a decision, think, if today were my last, what would I do? This mindset cuts away the unnecessary and refocuses your attention on what is truly valuable. Another way to practice is by actively confronting death. Visit a cemetery, read the inscriptions on tombstones, and recognize that fame, status, and petty conflicts all end up buried. Imagine your final moments. How do you want to feel? Regretful for wasting time on trivial matters, or at peace knowing you stayed true to what was important? If death is inevitable, then the only thing that truly matters is how we live before it arrives. Ultimately, Stoicism is never just theoretical. It is not meant to be read and forgotten, but applied immediately. Ask yourself, if today were my last, would I still care about the little things? Would I let fear hold me back, or would I act with absolute freedom? Live in a way that when death comes, you can smile, knowing nothing could ever truly shake your soul. Number 6. Believe in yourself. There's a simple truth that few dare to admit. You're not hurt because others are too strong, but because you're not strong enough. A harsh comment, a dismissive glance, a failure, these things can only shake you if you allow them to. That's why self-belief is the strongest shield against external forces. But believing in yourself doesn't mean blindly assuming you're always right. It means knowing your worth so well that no one can make you doubt yourself. Imagine you're an athlete preparing for a big competition. Outsiders may underestimate you, mock you, or question your abilities. But if you know how much you've trained, how well you've prepared, do their words still matter? When you truly believe in yourself, you don't need to prove anything to anyone. Real confidence isn't about shouting, "I'm great." It's about staying calm in the face of doubt, because you understand yourself deeply enough not to waver. Marcus Aurelius once said, "It never ceases to amaze me. We all love ourselves more than other people, but care more about their opinion than our own." It's ironic how people fear being judged, yet allow others' opinions to dictate their lives. A passing remark can keep someone awake at night, questioning themselves, when in reality they are the only ones who truly know what they've done. If you genuinely believe in yourself, you'll break free from the endless cycle of seeking external validation. You'll dare to move forward even when the world turns its back, because you know you're on the right path. But how do you build self-belief? First, stop comparing. An oak tree doesn't look at a willow and question its worth. You have your own journey, your own abilities, and your own reason to exist. When you focus on yourself instead of others, your confidence will naturally grow. Second, keep the promises you make to yourself. Every time you say you'll do something but don't, you erode your own trust. But every small commitment you follow through on strengthens the foundation of your confidence. Third, embrace failure as part of the process. No fighter is undefeated forever, but the strongest one is the one who gets back up the fastest. If you refuse to let failure define you, you will never truly be defeated. The Bible says, "Blessed is the one who perseveres under trial, because, having stood the test, that person will receive the crown of life." The real reward belongs to those who remain steadfast through hardship. True self-belief isn't built on praise or easy victories. It comes from falling and rising again. If you no longer doubt yourself, no one can make you falter. And once you've learned to trust yourself, the next step is to determine what truly matters, because confidence without direction can easily turn into arrogance. That's why the next lesson is about focusing on your core values, the very thing that will not only help you stand firm, but also walk the right path. Number 7. Focus on core values. There's a simple question that can shake the very foundation of your being. If tomorrow everything you own, your wealth, your reputation, your status were to disappear, what would be left? Most people would be unsettled, realizing they've tied their self-worth to things that can be taken away. But a Stoic wouldn't flinch. Their strength doesn't come from power or control, but from something untouchable, their core values. Think of a lighthouse in the middle of the ocean. No matter how violent the waves, it remains unmoved because it isn't anchored to the water but to the rock beneath. Your core values work the same way. They are the unshakable foundation that keeps you steady in life's storms. If you know what you stand for: integrity, courage, compassion, you won't be easily swayed by opinions, rejection, or loss. People might take your job, but they can't take your work ethic. They might betray you, but they can't turn you into a betrayer. One of the most powerful ways to apply this principle is to decide right now what is non-negotiable in your life. Some people value honesty above all else. They'd rather lose an opportunity than tell a lie. Others prioritize loyalty. They refuse to betray, no matter the temptation. When you are clear on this, decision-making becomes effortless. If someone asks you to go against your principles, you won't hesitate. The answer is already decided. As Marcus Aurelius put it, just that you do the right thing. The rest doesn't matter. But here's the interesting part. When you live by your core values, you don't just become stronger, you earn the respect of others. Think of someone you truly admire. It's not because they're rich or famous, but because they have an unshakable quality, perhaps integrity, courage, or resilience. They may have faced failure, but they never lost themselves. That's what makes them untouchable. Even the Bible says, "Whoever walks in integrity walks securely, but whoever takes crooked paths will be found out." Those who compromise their values for short-term gain may succeed for a while, but eventually their lack of authenticity is exposed. On the other hand, those who hold firm to their principles build a foundation that cannot be broken. The truth is, the world will test you again and again. You'll face moments that challenge what you believe in. A friend might suggest cutting corners for quick gains. An opportunity may arise, but only if you compromise your ethics. And that's the defining moment. Are you truly untouchable? Will you stand firm, or let circumstances dictate who you are? This isn't a question for philosophers on paper. It's a question for you right now. So ask yourself, what value matters most to you? If everything external vanished tomorrow, what would still remain within you? If you found your answer, live by it as if nothing else matters. Number 8. Anti-fragile mindset. Imagine you're holding a glass and throwing it to the ground. It shatters. A metal cup. It might dent. But a rubber ball? Not only does it remain intact, but it also bounces back even higher. If your mind is like glass, every shock in life will leave cracks. If you're like the metal cup, you can endure, but the scars remain. But if you're the rubber ball, you don't just withstand the impact, you use it to propel yourself even higher. This is the essence of being anti-fragile. Not just resilient, but growing stronger through adversity. Someone insults you? A fragile mind reacts in anger. A resilient mind endures and moves on. But an anti-fragile mind treats the insult as emotional training. It doesn't just remain unaffected, it sharpens its ability to stay calm and in control. Remember, the more easily you're provoked by words, the easier you are to manipulate. If a single comment can upset you, you've already given someone else control over your emotions. You fail at work? The average person feels discouraged. A strong person perseveres. But someone with an anti-fragile mindset doesn't just get back up, they analyze the failure, extract lessons, adjust their strategy, and come back even stronger. Thomas Edison once said he didn't fail 10,000 times when inventing the light bulb. He simply discovered 10,000 ways that didn't work. That is the mindset of someone who cannot be defeated. Marcus Aurelius once said, "What stands in the way becomes the way." When faced with a wall, you can despair, you can try to go around it, or you can use it to climb even higher. The anti-fragile thinker turns obstacles into stepping stones. But how do you cultivate this mindset? First, change how you see challenges. When rejected, don't take it as proof of your inadequacy, see it as an opportunity to improve. When you make a mistake, don't berate yourself. Ask, what is this teaching me? Instead of avoiding discomfort, deliberately put yourself in tough situations. Take on a difficult task, confront a fear, attempt something you're not good at. Every time you do, you're training yourself to become unbreakable. The Bible offers a profound insight. We also glory in our sufferings because we know that suffering produces perseverance, character, and character hope. Suffering isn't something to avoid, it's what shapes us. Those who understand this no longer fear hardship. As you become anti-fragile, something strange happens. The things that once worried you no longer matter. You stop being ruled by emotions, stop being wounded by petty things. But there is still one thing that can unsettle you: expectation. As long as you expect things to go your way, you remain vulnerable to disappointment. But if you expect nothing, what could ever disturb your peace? Number 9. No expectations. Have you ever felt frustrated when your food delivery arrives later than expected? Have you been disappointed when someone doesn't respond to your message right away? Or worse, have you expected a friend to always be there for you, only to feel let down when they start drifting away? If so, you've fallen into the most dangerous trap of the mind: expectation. People don't make you unhappy, it's your expectations of them that do. We expect delivery drivers to be on time, forgetting that they're just humans too, dealing with traffic or an overwhelming number of orders. We expect instant replies to our messages, forgetting that others have their own lives, their own responsibilities, or maybe they're simply not in the mood to talk. We expect friendships to remain unchanged, but everyone evolves, and sometimes it's no one's fault. Sounds simple, but how do we actually apply this? First, see the world as it is, not as you want it to be. People have the right to act as they choose, just as you have the right to decide how you react. Don't expect colleagues to always be polite. Don't expect family to always understand you. Don't expect traffic to always be smooth. If you start your day without demanding that everything go your way, you won't get annoyed when someone cuts you off or says something you don't like. This doesn't mean you're passive or indifferent, it means you're free. You do what needs to be done, but you don't tie yourself to the outcome. Imagine you're a swimmer. If you expect the water to always be warm and the currents to always be in your favor, you'll be frustrated every time the temperature drops or the waves push against you. But if you simply focus on your technique, regulate your breathing, and enjoy each stroke, you'll move forward without being affected by external conditions. Life works the same way. If you stop expecting everything to align with your desires, you won't be thrown off by unnecessary disappointments. Some may ask, without expectations, what drives us? But think about it, aren't the happiest moments often the ones you never anticipated? Like receiving an encouraging message out of the blue, getting a small gift you never saw coming, or unexpectedly hearing a song that brings back beautiful memories. These joys feel pure because they're not tied to expectations. On the other hand, the most disappointing moments tend to come when you've already scripted an outcome in your mind, only to have reality unfold differently. Even the Bible says, "Do not boast about tomorrow, for you do not know what a day may bring." We don't know what tomorrow holds, so why chain ourselves to fragile expectations? In the end, ask yourself, what would happen if you lived just one day without expectations? If you accepted everything as it came rather than as you wanted it to be, you'd discover something extraordinary. No one could upset you anymore, not because the world has changed, but because you have. Number 10. Turn everything into a game. Have you ever played a game with a child who truly loves the game, not for the rewards but for the joy of playing? They might lose 10 times in a row and still beam with excitement, eyes sparkling as they say, "Next time I'll do better." Meanwhile, an adult, maybe even you, can get irritated just because someone cuts in line or feel unsettled all day over an unanswered message. Why is that? Aren't both playing a bigger game, the game of life? If you pay attention, the people most affected by small inconveniences are often those who take everything too seriously. They see traffic as a battlefield where anyone cutting them off is an enemy. They see work as a war zone where any criticism is a personal attack. They treat every debate like a fight where losing means humiliation. But what if it's all just a game? What if traffic jams were just a challenge to test your patience? What if that annoying coworker was just an NPC program to see how well you keep your cool? What if failing at work was just a game over screen, but you still have more lives left? Once, I went to a cafe and ordered a black coffee with no sugar. The barista mistakenly handed me a sweet, milky one instead. I was about to ask for a replacement, but then I thought, never mind. Let's see if I can drink this without making a fuss. And guess what? It made no difference to my life. A friend of mine, on the other hand, once got overcharged by a few cents at a store and stayed frustrated about it all day, complaining to anyone who would listen. Now, who do you think had a better day? Turning everything into a game doesn't mean being irresponsible or avoiding problems, it's just a shift in perspective. When you're running and feel exhausted, instead of thinking, "I'm too tired. I need to stop," try, "Let's see how much farther I can go without complaining." When someone criticizes you, instead of reacting instantly, ask yourself, if this were a game, how would I win? Is winning about frustrating them with my silence, or is it about using calm words to turn them into an ally? When your boss assigns you a difficult task, instead of groaning, think, if this were a hard level, how would I beat it? Try it today. The next time you face something annoying, pause for a second and ask yourself, if this were a game, what's the best way to play it? You might be surprised at how much less things get to you. And one day, when someone tries to push your buttons, you'll just smile and think, oh, I've played this level before. Become immune to life's distractions not by running away or fighting against the world, but by mastering our minds, shifting our perspectives, and controlling our reactions. Life will always throw challenges our way. Difficult people, unfair situations, unexpected setbacks. But now you know the truth, the power is yours. No one can disturb your peace unless you allow it. True freedom doesn't come from controlling everything around you. It comes from mastering yourself. When you take control of your mind, you take control of your life. When you remain calm, you become stronger than anyone. If you found this video helpful and haven't hit like yet, do it now, that way YouTube knows this is valuable content and can share it with more people. Spread this message to those you care about. You never know, it might be exactly what they need in a stormy moment. Drop a comment below. I'd love to hear your thoughts. And if you haven't subscribed yet, hit that button. There's so much more great content coming your way. Thank you, and see you in the next video.